So let's continue with that, especially around the early emerging leaderships or even students. How important is mentorship with from the context of understanding that we are and shall always be forevermore in a digitized age, right? It's only going to intensify. It's only going to keep um, expediting and speeding up. So, how important is it around the mentorship piece, and what does that look like?
No, great question. And I think oftentimes when you think about mentorship relationships, you think of someone who is very senior being able to mentor or guide someone who is earlier or young in career. And that is typically the model. But I would like to shift the perspective of that dynamic in that relationship, that it is two-way. There's value being given and received on both sides. When for the first time, I think in a long time, we've had so many different generations within the workforce. And so being able to say, hey, guess what? All the different generations are also customers or consumers in the marketplace as well. And so being able to understand, all right, well, how does this generation think? Or, you know what, how are they leveraging this technology in a new way that can maybe transform, innovate our business model, or be able to have a new channel of being able to interact and be able to meet customers where they are, but also being able to say, hey, here's some tried and true principles and character development that's necessary to be able to sustain this growth that we're aspiring to. And so I think that being able to have cross generational relationships is crucial. And oftentimes it's not something that happens in an intentional way. I think that through social capital, you may be able to rub shoulders with a particular leader and be able to build that relationship. But I think that from an HR perspective, from a learning and development perspective, being able to create cohorts or opportunities
Mm.
where this happens in an intentional way, whether it's being able to recruit students or be able to have hackathons with students, or be able to say, hey, here's a theme or a topic, and let's create a think tank and intentionally be able to create a dynamic where there is representation across the spectrum of the workforce.
Yeah, I love that. And especially as you were talking, I'm thinking about organizations really working towards helping people feel belong, that they belong in those spaces. And one of the things is there's no doubt about it that the younger people coming into our organization are technically sound. They've been born with it, they've been immersed in it. And so if we partner and not be threatened by it, but what the older or the more senior people in the organization have is they know the business concepts that they're trying to really bring forth or the ideas, but I might not know how to do it on a technical perspective, or even to your point, how I can streamline this workflow. But here's what I really want to do. And so if we are open to present, pull this a cohort team together, or if there's an individual and say, here's what I'm thinking now from your perspective, how would you see this materializing? And then people feel belong. They feel like, oh, I'm wanted. You care about what I think. You give them a voice at the table, and you see it through. And I think it's important that if for some reason it's not presented or come to for life right away, that we communicate to the people who've been involved and why, so they don't think that they just wasted their time, because
Mhm.
everything can't be implemented at one time or at any given time. But we need to make sure that when they share those thoughts, that they know it was valued and we are still keeping that in our mind, or in a place in an incubator that we can go and pull it out and dust it off and revamp based on where we are and whenever we're ready to implement it. So, tell me more about your experiences in working. You've been working with some of these great organizations. You've been in Forbes magazine. So, tell me about an experience that just highlights in your mind about over your career and what
Yeah,
you've
I
been
think
doing.
no, I've done quite a bit. One of the things that I'm very passionate about is this concept of more personal computing. And so
Mm.
right now we're in the age of artificial intelligence and being able to create things in a more efficient and effective way. But one of the things that we've been doing for the longest time, even now, we usually are typing or we're looking at a screen. and we've been adapting to computers since computers have been in existence. But now, what's interesting is computers have the ability to adapt to our natural way of interacting. And so today, if you have children, nieces and nephews, grandchildren, they are able to quickly interact with the iPad, be able to talk to digital assistants and have them turn on music or change the channel, etc. And so now we're actually interacting with technology the way we interact with each other as humans. And so because of sensors, we are able to have more natural ways where the technology can adapt to us. And so, long story short, in my journey, I've been able to help organizations um, look at systems and processes and say, hey, how can, instead of us adapting to the way we've always been doing it, how can we expand the way we look at how can it be more ergonomical? How can it be more accessible? And how are we able to leverage this technology in a way that really keeps our human nature at the center, and
Mm.
really is in a way that enables things that we do versus us have to change to be able to interact and fit the technology. And one of the ways that I've focused on that is a concept called mixed reality. And so
Mm.
it is the blending of the physical and digital, being able to take holograms, 3D models, and be able to place them in the real world. And so, for example, if I am a physics teacher and I want to be able to show various molecules how to interact or how something works at a molecular level, typically I would look at a book, I have a video, but now leveraging immersive headsets, I'm able to put on glasses. They're able to see those models at life scale and be able to look at it from different perspectives and say, "Wow, I never knew that level of vibration was happening," or this happened at this particular moment. I wasn't able to grasp that when I was looking at the book, but now that I see it here, I have a deeper level of interest and I actually understand it in a more natural and intuitive way. And so, whether it's from an education standpoint, whether it's from a safety standpoint, being able to say, hey, you know what, I'm going to show you how to use this forklift, but I'm going to have you do it virtually first before putting you on there so that you don't cause any harm to yourself or anyone else. And so, what's interesting is this new way of being able to interact with digital objects in a natural way is opening doors for different modes of learning, but
Hmm.
also different modes of innovation and efficiencies and being able to solve problems and be able to learn and understand. And so I've been able to do that across the board, whether it's NASA, Mercedes Benz, et cetera. A lot of these organizations are finding processes that are saying, hey, how can we make this more efficient? How can we make this easier? And how can we leverage existing technology but make it more human centric? And mixed reality, HoloLens, augmented reality, now spatial computing are ways of being able to serve that in the marketplace.
That is amazing. That is absolutely amazing. And it would be so much fun to learn and train that way.
Yes.
So that is absolutely incredible. So, um, man, I could keep going on and on because as you talk, more and more questions come up. So we're going to have you back if you don't mind coming back and sharing more with our audience.
Happy.
But in the meantime, tell people how they can follow you, how they can connect with you, how they can stay in touch, and watch all the tremendous things that you're doing.
Yes, so you can follow me on all social media, Eric Brown Jr. underscore or Eric Brown Jr. And so Eric at ericbrownjr.com to email me directly, and happy to connect, be able to understand the problems you're trying to solve, and to be able to inspire and explore new possibilities.
Excellent, excellent, excellent. Thank you, sir. I really appreciate what you bring to the table and what you bring to the community workplaces. It's just amazing. And I know that I love that personalizing the whole experience is just huge. And a follow up question would have been around whole how do we personalize and safeguard the use of AI so it doesn't hurt other groups, right? Um, but we can leave that as a cliffhanger for people to come back, unless you
No,
wanted
excellent
to kind of
question.
address it real quick right there. So,
Sure, sure. I think at high level, it's important to be able to have policies, governance, and systems in place to ensure that the automation, the models, the training of the models, the whole process is responsible. And I think that, innovation is great, but it's important to do it in a responsible manner. And so until you have those guardrails in place, it's good to have a sandbox to be able to innovate, but to be able to ensure that it's not causing harm, you have to do your due diligence.
Yeah. Well, I thank you again for joining us. It's an absolute pleasure. I'm so glad we were connected, and we will stay connected. And so, thank you all for watching. This is another episode of Intersoul Leadership, and we go the gamut. And so, don't be afraid of technology, and let's be more innovative so that you can make your vision perform to its most optimal capacity. And until next time, enjoy life in the digital age. Bye bye.